Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes here live for another edition of the Thursday Night Forecast. We have to talk about the state of college football. It is in shambles right now, not because we're not seeing good football, but because there's so many things that the NCAA, the commissioners, coaches, anybody who has anything to do with college athletics, college football, they need to get this thing fixed. We also have another discussion about the Big Ten and the SEC. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about is the SEC still the number one conference in college football, or has the Big Ten taken over, or is the SEC even the powerhouse that they used to be? So there's a lot to discuss tonight. I'm going on tonight with my man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. How you feeling, Mossberg?
Pretty good, man. I was waiting to get to this evening. Been a few days since I haven't seen the guys and been off with work and a couple other things going on, but it is great to be back. And of course, we talking the Big Ten and SEC, so it's good to see everyone tuning in as well. And good evening to you all as well, and you especially. It's good to see you as well.
Yeah, I'm quite sure you've been watching channels and looking through X and Instagram and everywhere where they got some information about the SEC and Big Ten. And of course, a lot of people feel like the power is shifting, and the Big Ten is becoming that premier conference over the SEC, who had dominated for nearly 2 decades. What's your thoughts on that? Do you see a shift, or do you think there's just becoming a lot more parity?
Not to, man, it's tough to not say it's been a shift. And the reason I say, if you start with just the bowl games, I know, we don't really look at the bowl games, but it's like the Big Ten. They come to play when they play those SEC teams, for one. And then you've seen it with Ohio State winning last year, and you see what the possibilities of, things being this year. You have ACC, you have Big Ten. I mean, there's no SEC. It's been a few years in this title game. So SEC, we know what they bring. They within their conferences is strength on strength at times, and you just don't know what you're gonna get. But within those schedules, they definitely play a slate of some tough games. But year in, year out, this Big Ten conference is they're putting Oregon as a Big Ten champ. Then you have Indiana as a Big Ten champ. But then you have OSU as the Big Ten, overall with the title win. They're the top of the crop. And now you have Indiana as the top of the crop. So there's really, no SEC talk that you could really disclose these last few years. And then you can't forget about Michigan, 14-0. And they did a thing that we haven't seen in a while. And when you think of those teams, Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, during that time, what SEC team looked as good as those teams? That's one question we could really sit back and ask ourselves. You'll have to think of a Nick Saban era to match up a SEC team against one of those teams to really, take them off that throne. Just my opinion. But I say, with that being said, I think this Big Ten has a lot to say with this Big Ten SEC. And you know what I said last year? I said, if this Big Ten comes in and they win a title, I think, you have to give that nod to the Big Ten. Because if the ACC win this year, guess what? The Big Ten was in it. There was no SEC team there. And it was two teams that was from the SEC that we felt shouldn't have been in a playoff. So it's a lot of talk when you mention this SEC versus Big Ten. Right now, I think the Big Ten has it in their hand. I think the SEC has a stronghold because of what they've done over the years. It's been SEC, SEC, SEC. We know what they bring on both sides of the sport, but times is changing. NIL is a big part of it, I think. But overall, people are seeing what you get when you come to the Big Ten. You got to come with your hard hat every week, or it's going to be something that you have to deal with, and that could be costly as the season goes. And that's on both sides of the ball: basketball, football. I mean, any sport really. So I just noticed that in the Big Ten, and there's been a lot of articles, like you said, out there as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you said, really all of it. The simple fact is that the Big Ten has won the last two national titles. The
Yeah.
last 14 playoff and the first 12-team playoff, which was won by Michigan and Ohio State. And to have both of those games and you not have a SEC representative in either one of those championship games the last two seasons. Now we saw what Georgia did, winning two of the last four, but not having an SEC team in either of the last two speaks volumes to the fact that they're not as dominant and as powerful as we've seen them be the last 2 decades, and a lot of people are saying that it's because of the fact that we got NIL and we got the transfer portal and we got this money that can exchange hands with these players legitimately, not under the table, to where now it's an even playing field and the SEC is not able to dominate the kind of players that have been dominating the NFL draft and college football. So just looking at those 2 points, man, the fact that they haven't been in a representative in the championship game, and the fact that now you're starting to see more players being drafted into the NFL, especially in the first round, coming from the Big Ten, it's starting to look like the power has shifted in that direction. If Indiana wins this thing and it goes to 3 years in a row, which we already got 3 years in a row with this SEC representation, and it be a Big Ten winning the last 3, you really have to say, listen, the power has shifted, and the SEC is not the dominant conference that it once was.
Yeah, and then also, not to mention, if you think of the last, for example, 2 Big Ten championships, that's been won the national championship, 2 SEC champions, that's won the national champion. Now, if you add this Indiana team to it, that'll be a 3rd Big Ten. Now, if you think about a 3rd SEC team, how far back would you have to go? And then when you put those records together, I mean, the quarterbacks that you're talking about, and McCarthy, Mendoza, and Howard, we can all say what we want about Howard, but to lead a team through that gauntlet, as we've seen, I mean, it's historical. It don't get any better than that when you're talking college football. You're talking about at its pinnacle, at the height. So we can't negate that. And I think, like you said, that this Indiana team win, I think the Big Ten is the conference to top. I totally agree. I think this Indiana team is speaking very heavy on that to do with what the conversation is as well. How's it going this evening, City League TV? It's good to see you in the building. You on mute. You got your mic on mute.
You made a really, really good point, Level Up Sports 10.
Hey, what's up, my brothers? I just wanted to tap in real quick. I saw y'all had one, and I actually wanted to get in and get on, but I ain't make it home in time. I just wanted to tap in and tell y'all I love y'all, man, and y'all know what the business is.
Yes, sir. Love you too, boss. Yes, sir. Yes,
Man,
sir.
I can't even feel my AirPods. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can get some.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Y'all still can't hear me?
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
can
you
hear
come
good.
back in to see what happened.
Yeah, we can hear you.
He went out.
Anyway, he got some technical difficulties. But you made
Yeah.
a really good point. Michigan wins it. Then Ohio State wins it. Now, if Indiana wins it, that's three different
Three
teams
different teams.
from the Big Ten who have won the national title consecutively in a row, bro.
Yeah.
This isn't like a Alabama dominating and then all of a sudden Georgia catches up and you sprinkle an LSU in there one time. This is three teams
Yeah.
back to back to back if Indiana wins this thing. I
And then-
think the dynamic has shifted, man, and the Big Ten has put the SEC on notice. And I think some of the questions we got in our chat relates to that as well. But let's get into our first question that we got in the chat, and let's get your thoughts on it. What's your take on the discussion to have a 9-game red shirt rule instead of 4 games? Is this the coach's way of getting to 5 years of eligibility?
I think we hit it right on the head with that one. I think you said it right there. I think that's a way of getting that eligibility. Also, I did do some thinking, like just myself, putting myself, because I didn't play football. I played basketball. So I didn't play on the college level, but I've played against quite the competition at those levels and more. But being a college football, if I get chose to come on this team to be a kicker, punter, I can't remember how many kickers and punters, on the roster out of that 53, 70-something man roster. So if I'm there and I'm just snapping balls, I'm not getting the field, no turf. I'm not feeling no breeze on that field. At some point, I want to be able to do that. That's what I came here to do. I came here to kick the ball. Is it because of this portal that I'm not getting on the field, this other kicker coming in? What is it? So some of these things I do understand, I had to put myself in their shoes. So yeah, I do get it. Now, when it comes to stretching it to 9 games, that's kind of questionable. 9 games is asking a little bit. Okay, 4 games now. We've seen the situation with the quarterback and what happened with that whole disaster at UNLV, being undefeated, and then that whole debacle. And we've seen that translate throughout the season for them, and it's still going on. So I think that's something that you have to really bounce back from. 9 games is too much. Now, you got to know what you want to do. If you're that kicker, guess what? I think you need to go work on your game a little more. What are you doing to get yourself better? Those are some of the questions you would begin to ask yourself on the outside looking in as well, because certain positions you shouldn't have to wait till 9 games to determine something. You should be putting in that work in order to be on that field. So it's a 50-50, but 9 games is too long, I would say, to determine. Maybe a little less on the games. Outside of that, I think it's at least giving them a chance.
Yeah, and I think these coaches they're pretty clever. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking to themselves, listen, we got these freshmen that come in who we try to build our special teams with kickoff return, punt return, and you get these guys some action, but they could only do it for 4 games, and all they really are playing is special teams at that point. They don't want to. They're saying the players don't want to burn their red shirt just playing special teams. So we automatically know that the coaches are being clever and trying to just say, listen, give these kids 5 years of eligibility, man.
Yeah.
You can come to college, you can play 5 years, but once them 5 years is up, then you got to move on to greener pastures. You know what I mean? So I think it's a good tactic that they're using to try to get up to 9 games, because 9 games to me is 2/3 of a season. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
a
a
guy
lot.
gets to play 2/3 of a freaking season and still get the red shirt.
Over the time.
That's a bit much, man. I mean, remember it used to be you couldn't touch the field
At all.
or your red shirt was burned.
Yep.
So then we sprinkle in 4 games. Now they try to sprinkle in 9 games and try to use special teams as their reasoning. And I get it. And I understand it. Because I really don't like for people to have – I wouldn't want any player to have to burn their red shirt because they only really significantly play special teams. They didn't really play a whole lot defense or offense in games. So I get it. I do. But coaches –
it's crazy.
just go to the table with the fact that you won 5 games. You don't have to sit there and beat around the bush and kick the can down the street.
Yep.
Just say, listen, ultimately what we want is for athletes to have 5 years to play.
Of eligibility.
And leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately that's what they want to do.
Yep. And the crazy thing, you know, that I know you don't really play the video games, but this take me to my video games. It's good to see you in here, Mr. Whitmore, Papa Whit, as we call you, man. Appreciate you tuning in this evening. I think of the video game, I'm really going to be locked in. And I know Zay, when he get a chance to watch this, he's going to say the same thing. This got me thinking I would put certain players on the special teams, on the video game. So what team is going to put some of these guys, if this go through, I'm going to look at the roster and see who's upgrading their special teams. Because if they on special teams and they could get a red shirt, are you starting to play some of these players to cover someone's injury until they get healthy as well? Like, it's so much that you could tackle if this go through. It's absurd with this NIL, how so many more things are starting to come to the forefront. And like you said, that was a great point. If you smelt the grass, if you went out there for a don't matter if it's a kickoff, if you run down the field, if you on that field, it's up. You gotta hit that weight room. You gotta go hard. So, and I hope that you get some time on the field. I wish some of those things could come back into play, to where I think, you know, college football, it would be college football at its finest. You know, let's throw away this red shirt talk, man. Let's get these contracts signed in the right way. I mean, we got so much to tackle with this tonight. Let's go, Unc. I'm loving it. If we not talking about Mickey D's, but I love your coffee. Don't sue me. Just give Moss Bird any coffee when he come through. That's all I ask for.
Yeah. Good to see you in here, Papa Whitmore, better known as Wiz. Good to see you in here. Let's look at this next question, because just with these coaches having this conference right now, and I think it's probably going to be over, about to end it today. How do you feel about the Big Ten and the SEC seeming to be calling all the shots and having the power?
It's being an ACC guy is something that I've always watched. I've watched these two conferences, you know, especially the last few years, really bang heads. I think it's something to see. I think I love it as far as in watching a competitive, you know, nature you have with the Big Ten and SEC, but lo and behold, you know, people talked about the SEC. I felt a certain way about my conference this year. But if you think about some of the talks, I felt good about Miami, you know, once we seen they was in a playoff. I think Miami is coming to put a stranglehold on all the naysay about the ACC. I think they can get in this national championship. I think they could totally do something special and spectacular and have a lot of the discussion. Yeah, the Big Ten is still the top, but hey, hold on, as Lee Corso would say. This ACC is still a conference. They just have things that they have to get, you know, together with those respective teams that are normally a dominant team and a powerhouse. But I definitely think this Big Ten, the SEC, has everything right now on lock when it comes to college football, college basketball. They are college sports when you really think about it. You got to go through the SEC or you got to go through the Big Ten to win something big.
Man, I feel like this, Mossberg. Of course, these two teams are just taking advantage of what they're allowing them to do. If you allow them to do what they're doing, they're going to continue to do it. And right now, it looks like the ACC and the Big 12 really don't have a real strong leg to stand on because they don't generate the kind of interest and the kind of money that the Big Ten and the SEC produce. So there are going to be instances where those two conferences might have to take a back seat behind the SEC and the Big Ten. But I think when it comes down to them trying to figure out the things that they got to figure out for college football as a whole, they got to have everybody in mind. The Big Ten can't be in there in the discussion only wanting to do things that's going to benefit the Big Ten. The SEC can't be in there having the negotiations for things that's only going to benefit the SEC. And then if somebody else has a really good idea, you don't go with it because they're not a part of the SEC or they're not a part of the Big Ten. I think that is asinine. All of us who watch college football, we want to see this thing, the ruling and everything to be pretty much the same across the board, especially when it comes to the Power 4 schools. So when you start talking about we want to guarantee 4 slots in a 16-team playoff, we want to guarantee 4 slots.
Crazy.
The Big 12 can only get 2. The ACC can only get 2. Miss me with that stuff, man. Give me the 16 best teams, and I don't care where the hell they come from. Yeah. Just give me the 16 best teams. I don't think anybody should get any automatic bids. I think it should be, if it's going to be 16 teams, give me the 16 best teams. I don't care where they come from. Yeah. Or if it's going to be 12, the same thing. I don't think that conferences should be allowed to, just because they generating a lot of money. I get that. If you're generating a lot of money, that means you're getting a lot of money. And we see that the SEC and the Big Ten is getting more money than the Big 12 and the SEC when they divvy up that pot. You get rewarded for that. But don't think that just because you generate that money, you also should get more than another conference. I don't think that's fair, man. I don't think it's fair.
And I like what you said, because you make me think about the fact that, when you think of the NBA, when you think of, the NFL, they have fans voting for things. You got fan bases in both, not just the SEC, Big Ten, but also the Big 12, the ACC, but also that Power 5. Those conferences nobody knows nothing about. A school over, let's just say over in Delaware, that might be 13-0. They got a fan base that could vote heavily on them possibly getting into the playoff. We never know. Allow the fans to have some kind of say. College football, hopefully you watch it, WTP Sports Dudes, and you've been watching us, because we be coming at y'all and we be wanting to say something for y'all to be on notice about some of the stuff that we talk and we bring to the forefront, because not only we think it should be heard, but we think it should be, spoke about and thought about, because these are some great point of views. And I think if you put the fans vote in somewhere, you will have a more, bird's eye view of some of the things that we see at our view. I think, why not?
Yeah, let's tackle this next question, man, because we can go really on those first 2 questions. We can go on and on and on, and we'll probably have some more to say about it later on in the show. But let's get to this next question. Should collective bargaining be renegotiated where the money is distributed based on the level of each university.
It's a deep dive. If this is because I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where we spoke where they have that new amount that they're just giving out. I think they definitely need to go renegotiate this. I think it's the only way. I think you have to get this right. You have to get it right. That way, there's no, it's no, there's no way that you not looking at it to see all angles. You got to look at every angle of this. You have to go back to it. You've not done the playoff once, twice, three times, but I think this may be the fourth time that it switched around, it seems like. So I think you definitely had to go back to the table and look at this, overview this to make sure you didn't take the wrong step. Make sure you dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's because like we know, this is kids, you know, money at the end of the day that you're dealing with. Kids, some of them just want to be student athletes, some of them just being athletes, but you definitely got to look back into this. I definitely feel that way.
Yeah, it definitely has to get renegotiated, man. Because to me, I feel like this, and we had this conversation just a little bit earlier in the show, and I understand that they want this. They don't want somebody complaining that you're not being fair or you're not being equal because this school isn't getting the same amount as the big schools. Man, miss me with that. Listen, if you're Boise State, you should not be getting as much money as Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan. Those big Power Four schools, you should not be getting the same amount of money as them because you're not generating as much money as those universities are generating. I think there's about probably 45 to 50 schools that should be getting a lot more than what everybody else should be getting. Definitely. Everybody else, you got 136 programs right in football.
Yeah.
All 136 of them should not be getting $22.8 million. No. Makes no sense. They're not even generating that kind of money to even get that kind of piece of the pie. But I would rather see it go to those 45 to 50 schools. They can be on an even playing field and they can get that amount of money equally amongst them. And then you should have levels to this thing, man. And you get your amount of money based on whatever level you on. Because you only, no matter how much money we give you, you're only going to be able to compete at that level. Yeah. There is no way if you gave, all these schools are getting it now, but are all these high-profile football players, are they running to those other schools and not going to an Ohio State or Notre Dame or Michigan or Texas A&M? No, they're still going to those big schools.
Yeah. And they taking a bag.
Yeah. So I think they need to renegotiate that thing, man. Because like I said, there's only 45 to 50 schools that should be getting top-notch bread. And then it should be levels to that thing, man, where you fall in right here at this level. This is how much money you should be getting. Because it's just not fair, man. It's just not fair for everybody to be getting the same amount of money. It's just not, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion.
Like, I don't really know how much alumni gives back, not to pick on anything when it comes to that. Like, I know, for example, how much I volunteer and put in time for, being at the rec center, coaching basketball. Like, I think if we tap into that, I think some of these universities, instead of getting this 22 or whatnot, I think if you have those alumni that are well off and have a few dollars, tapping into those universities, I think that could bring that level up to where they can get to that point. I think that's why you see a Texas, for example, Ohio State, schools like Alabama, you see their alumni pouring into, and you get that out of, those schools. So I think if we had that out of some of these smaller schools, nothing against them, not that they don't have it or it's just picking on them, but I think we'll start to see a more, development in that to where you won't have to look at a renegotiation. You'll have things set in stone to where you can make those ends meet. So, great points as well.
Yeah, I just think that however they come up with this stuff, I think they gotta stop feeling like they're offending somebody.
Yeah,
Because before they had collective bargaining agreement, they weren't getting $22.8 million. And now that they got it, they get it. I know they're happy for it, but at the same time, they haven't really necessarily earned it or deserved it on the same level as some of these other schools who really generate the money. Is my point.
yeah.
And
I
I
haven't
want
heard about
everybody
no
to get
big
a piece of the
signing.
pie. I just don't think everybody should get the same piece or the equivalent amount of the pie.
About
That's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
makes sense.
What month do you think National Signing Day should be?
These is high school athletes signing for college. I want that joint the first couple weeks of January. I want New Year's to be a banger. Your team might not be in a playoff. You want to see something big. I would love to see it in the first few weeks, January, at the latest February, man, because college football and how they do things. But I say January, first 2 weekends of January should be it.
I think that there's a dead period in college football. I think after spring ball, there's a dead period that goes all the way, I believe, into June before they start winter workouts. I think somewhere in May, and I don't know how they're gonna make this work, but if you're ending your junior season and you're going into your senior season, I think you should be able I think they should sign national letters of intent then. Uh, Now, I know that people are going to say, well, what if a kid get injured, and should you still have to honor that signing? Yeah, you should still have to honor that signing. It's just the nature of this thing, man. I don't think that.
I like your point
I,
because you
I
you
don't
make
know,
them.
man. It's difficult, man, to even because that's what the major problem is in college football
Yeah,
is the calendar. Like Nick Saban said, the calendar is
it's
jacked up.
crazy.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? The calendar is
yeah.
jacked up, man, and they just are trying to squeeze too much in during times when there's too much going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know if signing in May after or even early June when your high school day is over, I mean year is over with, in between your junior going into your senior year is a good time for them to sign or not. Because I know signing after your senior year is up is not going to work
It's
because
not
then
gonna
you got
work.
guys that want to come. They want to come into school early. They don't want to have to wait until the summertime to come to the university that they want to play for, especially when they've already done the requirements high school wise to be able to come in January in that winter semester. So
I like your thought because I think like one word that I think about is something that I've been going into this new year with, not a resolution, but just different, months and looking at things, accountability. I think this gives them accountability. You at that age where, you gotta hold yourself accountable, and it brings that loyalty as well. Are you gonna be loyal to the decisions you made? You at that age to where you moving into the adulthood. So I think this is something that could be good for their development. You got the NIL as well. So I kind of like that because that could prepare me to build relationships and bonds throughout those few months with guys that I know will be playing for that first year coming in as I'm going through my senior year. And if I'm coming into that, that school year with them as well, January, February, whatnot. I think I don't know. I kind of like that. I kind of like that thought. It brings accountability, loyalty, and you could build relationships as well. Anytime, really, but I think that's a different building as you preparing for that season as well with your team.
Yeah. Your January idea would be perfect. If they ended the freaking college football playoffs the last Saturday in December or the first Saturday in January. It has to be done, man. You got too much going on.
Yeah.
During that month. You getting bowl prep, college football playoff prep. You got National Signing Day. You got a transfer portal. You got too much happening at the same time. And they have to get that thing fixed, man. The calendar, like Nick Saban said, it ain't Robert said. The GOAT said it. He said the freaking college football calendar is jacked up, and they need to fix it. They need to fix it.
And we said that they should start some bowl games in December. Have that playoff a certain way to where they could just. Yeah, that's up right.
I'm okay if they either push the football season up a week, and I mean you already got a game in week 0. Right. You can start. Everybody can start in that week 0, and that just be week 1, and you can go ahead and get this whole thing done by that first Saturday in January, or either by January 1st. You can get all that thing done, man. And I think that they need to really look at making that happen. Okay. I really do. Starting to destroy high school recruiting.
I won't. Just looking at it, I would say yeah. I say so much of yeah because you got guys that want to hook up with their buddies. They think they can, but then they not. You got injuries. I think a lot of it is messing up a lot of high school recruiting.
Yeah, NIL probably need to be in that question with the transfer portal as well, because I think it's a combination of both of them that are starting to make high school recruiting a little less important, because the reality is this, and we've seen it just recently in this transfer portal that's still going on right now. You went out as a university and you signed a high-profile player who you gave X amount of dollars because you was in a bidding war for this fella. You was in a bidding war with probably 2 or 3 other high-profile schools.
Yep.
The number got ran up as high as you wanted it to go. You end up getting him. The other 2 might have said, I'm stopping at 600,000. I can't go beyond that.
Yeah.
You go 650. And then the next year, the transfer portal comes like we're in right now. And that guy who you probably paid 6 figures to is in the freaking portal.
Gone.
And he didn't give you anything this past season. And you done paid him 6 figures. That's nuts to me, man. That's nuts to me. And I think the way that thing is going, high-profile teams are going to say, listen, if this guy is going to be somebody that's not going to be able to touch the field for me right now, I'm not spending big money on him. I'll go after him in a year or 2. As opposed to giving him some money right now. I can use that money on a more experienced player who has played a lot of football, and I can be a 23-year-old roster like Indiana.
Yeah, that's
And
just
go
like
out there with experienced guys who are bigger, stronger, more mature, and go out there and playing against 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds. When you're 23 and that guy is only 18, 19, or 20, you have a significant advantage over him.
yeah,
A
because I'm
significant
looking at
advantage. And
because
that's
I'm
how
looking at
teams
this.
are looking at it now, Mossberg.
Yeah, man, I agree, and it's like you make me think about the Bryce Underwood situation, like $10 million, and we all we got I think another 24 hours. We really locked in. For me, I'm locked in to see what he do because, like I said, I'm looking at a lot of these quarterbacks that's come in with a price tag on them to see what they really do with these universities for 4 years because you're looking at it like an NFL contract. What are you doing for this university? I understand you getting these deals and these partnerships, but are you producing wins? Are you bringing championships? Are you bringing national titles? To this program. And when you putting your money out there, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand they're kids. When we look at it, they're kids, and the NIL make us forget that sometimes. And the fact that we treating kids like professional grown men as athletes is, to me, sometimes is crazy. Yes, I know. I say sometimes I wish we could have had an era where things was different, but as the day go on, it's like, man, what are they really going to do to get a hold of this? Because it's just going to be a continued factory of kids just wanting to pay or wanting to, play or get that paycheck for what they feel they worth. And at the end of the day, it could be detrimental to their growing and growth as an athlete to where they could have just went and played, not worried about the money, and been playing on a Sunday afternoon. Just that simple.
Yeah, they got to do something about it, man. That's for sure. That's for sure. Can anything be done about a player transferring multiple times during their college career? Will we see it happen?
Right now, they can't figure out NIL. They can't renegotiate. So I think it's going to happen again. And right now, I don't think nothing's going to change because it's like the normal. They left the NBA to come and play college basketball. Granted, whatever it was and whatnot. Now you're seeing the same thing with college football as far as in, players going from one university to the other, then to the next. Like we always talk about, they got to get some kind of hold of it in a strong way to where, you know, the world is changing as it is. We don't want, kids to feel like they could just do anything because, they still have a long life they have to live. At the end of the day, it's a lot that we could talk about with this, but it's like, what are we teaching them at the end of the day after, being an athlete? Are we teaching them to be students or just athletes at this point? We're forgetting about student athletes. So I think it just definitely need to be addressed at this point because it's seems like every month it's a new rule and it's not making sense because the last rule hasn't been, completely figured out or ironed out to where it's a whole another one coming into play and it negates the fact of the other one you haven't figured out. And until you figure that out, you can't complete this new addition that you're trying to put into play because it's not going to make sense at all. Like it's so confusing sometimes.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's six straight questions, man, where we're talking about college football and issues within the whole entire system of college football right now, man. This is the sixth freaking question. And we're talking about having can something be done about all this transferring multiple times? There are players, man, who have transferred four times. I think there's a guy out there who's going to maybe his sixth or seventh school. Like, for real? I mean, come on, man.
It's insane.
That makes no sense. Now we all know that there was a rule in place years ago where if you transferred, you had to sit out a year. That kind of ruling needs to come back. There's no way that we can continue to allow players to just keep on jumping from here to there to everywhere. I think that if you sign a national letter of intent to go to a school, you should at least have to be there for 2 years. If you can't find a playing field after 2 years at that school, then you should be able to transfer one time.
Yep.
Now, maybe if they're going to go to this 5 years to play, you might get 2 times because maybe you might graduate after year 4 and you want to go somewhere else. So maybe you might get 2 without being punished for it. After you graduate and 1 after your first 2 years, but you should have a 2-year commitment to that university that you signed your national letter of intent to. And once you transfer to that other school, they should get a 2-year commitment. You know what I mean? So you got a chance to play for 3 schools if they go to a 5 years of eligibility. You got 5 years to play. But if it's still going to be 4, you should only be able to go to 2 schools. The one you initially went to out of high school, and then your 1 transfer. Yeah, especially if you at the Division I Power 4 level. I think you shouldn't be allowed to just be going willy-nilly all over the place, jumping in the portal just because things didn't work out for you. You got to do your homework, young man. You got to do your homework, young woman, and decide what's the best fit for you, because that's where you're going to be for 2 years.
Yeah.
Will it happen anytime soon? I doubt it, because they don't seem like they want to get shit right when it comes to this college football. If you got regular old Joe Schmoes like me and you seeing the issue, and you got all these other channels talking about it too, you got all these articles out there about it, the people who call the shots, you got to know that it's an easy way to get this thing done. You just got to be brave enough to go into it.
Yeah, definitely. Get some balls, as we'd tell them in the hood.
Yeah, you got to get you a big sack of something. And I ain't talking about no marijuana. Should college athletes become employees? Will that help with multi-year NIL contracts?
I mean, we already looking at it. I say, why not? We have to do something. This is, like you said, it's crazy because we have so many different takes on everything that we talking about when it pertains to all of these topics on college football, college sports. But I think we have to do something. And what I mean by that is if I'm paying a certain player $1 million to have this sports drink or take whatever it is, like, you have to have some kind of sense of signing some document outside of just signing this paper for money. Give them some kind of stability, some kind of accountability to where they could be loyal to what they're doing, so it could teach them the steps of growing as well. You know, I can remember watching a documentary about pro athletes, some of the older school guys, and talking about how they had no knowledge of even reading or writing. That's insane, to have all this money but not know how to read and write. I think it still goes on today. It still goes on today, and it's something that's not noticed because there's so much money going around in the air. So let's put the money down. You know, y'all say put all these other things down. Let's put the money down when it comes to these college kids. Let's see what's going on up here. Let's teach them a little something more than they already going to sitting in the classrooms and being taught, to where we could see different ways that this could be approached when it comes to the NIL, when it comes to the transfer portal, when it comes to being a young man, understanding that a coach is going to yell at you. Don't run away from that coach. Understand that that discipline comes. The hard work that you put in is what you're going to get out of it. That coach that's getting on you, if you let that coach get on you and if he's teaching you something that you're not used to, guess what? Learn from that. Now you would know certain things, but it's crazy how this stuff is, man. They got to get a hold of it. I think they got to put them under some kind of contract only for it has to be better.
Yeah, they definitely have to. I think they're gonna have to make them employees, man, and then that way you can get you a a players association where they go and they sit down with a in the CBA or whatever they call it, and they could go in there and negotiate things for their employees in terms of healthcare benefits, all that kind of stuff, contracts, multi-year
Yeah,
contracts, all of that stuff, man, because as long as they are not employees, they can just go willy-nilly like you see them going now. But I think once they become employees, you could have them under binding contracts, man, that keep them from having so much movement. I think that's one thing that the NCAA or college football or college athletics, period, have to do is they have to limit all of this freaking movement. It's way too much freaking movement going on. You know why? Because there's no accountability to contracts. We just seen Demond Williams of Washington and his whole situation where he signs with Washington. But the minute somebody comes through the back door and offers him more money, he's willing to jump in the portal.
jump in the portal. Yep.
But when you
Crazy.
got an employee that somebody tampers with, now you can take them to court, and now you can, get compensation for them tampering with your stuff. And I think once that kind of stuff starts to happen, then you'll cut out all of this backdoor stuff that some of these representatives and these agents who may not be totally qualified to do the job,
Yeah.
you keep some of that stuff from happening because the reality is those people are trying to get paid too. So they trying to do whatever they feel is in the best interest of their athlete. And many times they are willing to do some underhanded backbiting crap in order to get it accomplished. And I don't think that's cool. So I think once they make them employees, they can start to negotiate all of that other stuff that goes into
Yeah.
having an employee, which will make those binding contracts, man. And then that way you can have your two-way buyouts where, okay, yeah, you want to get out of this contract with us? Well, you know what you gotta do, right? It's a buyout in this contract. You
Yeah.
fork up that money right there, you can go on about your business. And the same thing with the university. You know what? You haven't been what we expected out of you here. You're probably not going to get to play next season, but here's your buyout. We're going to pay you to go on about your business.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going
Yeah.
to have to happen, man, in order to start to have movement that happens because of both sides feeling like it's in the best interest of both sides to do so.
And like you said, I
And
think that
compensation is being given to one side or the other because of the movement.
yeah, and it'll halt that movement, like you said, and it'll hold them accountable. Because if you like, just thinking like, if I'm getting paid 4 million, whatever this NIL is for 4 million. Now, throughout my contract, if my buyout is a million or such and such or whatever, within that NIL, I'm sure that 4 million that you getting depends on certain things. And when you getting bought out, someone's not going to want to keep that NIL deal going because that, boom, there goes accountability, there goes loyalty. So I think that's making them, like we say, be accountable for these things, which you have to start doing. And hats off for the ones that are already doing those things. Nothing against anyone at all. We just feel our way about some of these things, and we just wanted to be heard on the forefront because I think it's great at what you said because, it's just you have to hit on some of those key points because of it.
Yeah, I mean, because if a player has a contract, bro, and they ball out, and they know that next year I'm only going to get $4 million, but I just balled out, and I know they want to give me $6 million. My buyout is this. Let me go ahead and pay this university so I can go over here and get this $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I get it, but it has to be a contract where you got a two-way buyout in that thing, man, where whatever side, when you part ways, gets compensated because of the departure. That's all I'm saying. That has to happen to make it at least fair. But you got contracts and stuff that allows that to be able to happen. But I think it all is going to start with them becoming employees first.
Agreed.
Do you have any other college athletic issues that need to be fixed we haven't discussed today?
One in particular make me think about even back to my high school days. What happened to team shoes? Wearing the same, whether it's brand, same shoe, everybody on the team, you're not running around with different color shoes. Like, I loved it when I was in high school. We wore Team Jordans, and that was our thing. We had the same shoe. Nobody was able to come out with the different shoe. If you didn't come out with that right shoe, trust me, your minutes was stalled. That's one thing for sure. But when can we get back to some of those things? They look at the flair and the jerseys and all this money. Who's gonna be the teammate? Hey, I'm about to go to Foot Locker and get us these team shoes. This is what we rocking within our contracts of what we got. We all wearing these. I would love to see that. Like, I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, and I know you probably got some shoe companies, some brands out there that feel like, hey, I want to market this individual. But when it comes to the athletic gear, it should all be uniform, in my opinion. I think it should all be uniform. I agree with you. I think that if we're wearing team shoes, then that means Robert can't come out there with his Los Angeles Laker color LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? It's bronze. Right. No, man. We got team shoes, bro. This is what we wear because we're a team.
Yeah.
When you get to that level where you're in the NBA and you can get all those other kind of endorsements, cool. You go do that. But as long as you at this collegiate level, we all wear the same thing because we want to look uniform. Because, the NFL, they don't let you do that stuff. Everybody got to have on them white socks, bro.
Yeah,
and
you can't come out there looking.
And they got to be pulled up. The NFL ain't playing that stuff, man.
Ain't none of that jersey out.
Everybody can do that. Yeah, man. They ain't. You can do that if you want to. Guess what you gonna have when you come out when you come off that field? A hefty fine. Fine. That's what you gonna have.
Finest, man. It's gonna be nice too.
Yeah, so I definitely would like to see that. But some other things, it's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be fixed in college athletics because I like I said many times, and like we said many times on our shows, the NCAA had an opportunity to get out ahead of this and point this thing in the right direction. But because of greed, they didn't do it. So now we're we're facing all this mess because the governing body, the NCAA, who now has no teeth, who now is afraid to be taken to court, didn't do what they needed to do in the first place. Because the writing was on the wall, bro. When Ed O'Bannon filed that lawsuit, you knew it was only a matter of time before it was going to come to a head and you were going to have to do something.
Yeah.
And you had states who were saying that they wanted to pay players because they saw the writing on the wall as well. But the NCAA was like, never is that going to happen. But now the apple cart done got tipped over and they trying to scrounge up as many apples as they can.
Yeah.
When all you had to do was share some of your apples in the first place.
That's it, man.
And then your apple cart wouldn't have got tipped over and apples flying all around the street. Now it's a free-for-all for your apples.
Yeah,
you know
it's like,
come on, man. You
yeah, it's like
that thing from jump.
From the jump, because it's like they got a cart full of apples, like they was building this apple, and it started to bust. But as it was busting, the apple stayed within their acre. They ain't let it get out their acre. It stayed on they plantation. So instead of them going to share this crop that got out there, you know, they wanted to hold on to it. Now the crop is getting out there and they can't do nothing to hold that crop in. So it's crazy. And I had learned that from someone that did a demonstration for me, and it made sense, you know. So I just thought of that as we was talking about this, and that's exactly what this NCAA looked like. It might be the great debacle in a few years from now, man. Like watching what's taking effect now in the stronghold on them, they really can't do nothing with it, you know. So it's insane.
Yeah, hopefully they can get this whole thing fixed also with these agents and these representatives, man, because I think we have many cases where whoever the representative is, whoever the agent is, or maybe it's the family members pushing them. It could be a whole lot of multitude of things that's taking place behind the scenes. But they need to get that thing under control, man, because we have way too many players jumping in the freaking portal who have no freaking destination whatsoever. So now they're in the portal. They might have burnt the bridge where they left from, can't go back. Nobody really is interested in them at this point. So now they got to sit out a whole freaking semester, or they got to go somewhere and pay their way. Now, maybe they got some NIL money to where they can go do that. But if they don't find a home, like quick, fast, and in a hurry, because school's about to start for winter session. If they don't find a home, then that means this is a whole quarter that they don't, or whole a semester that they don't get to go to school, which I think is not good at all. So they need to make sure that they understand the dynamic of jumping in that portal and understanding, listen, just because your agent or your representative tells you you have value, that don't mean dilly squat unless a team has told you that you got some value and they have an interest in you. Otherwise, you better not jump your butt in that portal because you might not have nowhere to go. And there's going to probably be upwards of 2,000 players who don't get a landing spot. Might be more than that before it's over with in a couple of days.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to check and see how many don't get a spot too.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have for tonight. That was all the questions we had in the chat. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching. Please make sure that you like our videos, that you subscribe, that you share our videos, hit the notification bell. So anytime we go live, you get that notification. We are really working hard to grow our channel. We're trying to build our brand. We're trying to do everything that we can do to go ahead and show YouTube that we're a worthy channel to monetize. So if you can help us out with that, please like, subscribe, share our videos, because we're really trying to do this thing, because we come on practically every day with some kind of sports something. So tune in, continue to support us. We really do appreciate you all.
Definitely. As he said, man, likewise to what he said, man, definitely as well. You could drop the super chat saying we always appreciate that as well. Make sure you go through all of our channels, man, as you see scrolling at the bottom. Stay tuned next Wednesday. Looking to bring you another evening conversation with Mossberg. I'm going to keep you all tuned in to that one. Make sure you tap into Level Up Sports 10 on Facebook and Instagram. I'll be posting on who that guest will be. That way it could bring you in that way, so you could get a little look at all what we do throughout all our channels and our networks. And you can follow us on Instagram as well. And what's your tag on Instagram?
It's at Nono.
At Nono.
KNO, yeah.
And that is all capitals.
Well, not on Instagram, but on TikTok it is.
On TikTok. Yeah. On TikTok. And we just, we getting things going on all of our respective pages. We just, learning on some, in depth on some and others, but definitely tap into all those, as we say. And we are on pretty much every day throughout the week. Yeah, YouTube, come see us, come holler at us, man, support us, man. This is what we do. We love it. And it's a pleasure to get on, like, when we do. Days could be crazy, and this definitely, it heals the day, gives the day more positive energy, breath, more life, as you hear some people say. And it just gives me a vibe and a feeling. And, when I seen a kid, I was coaching yesterday at the rec center, and the kid, I had my City League TV shirt on, and he said, I watch you guys on Facebook. You were at the basketball game, and like almost cried. It was so much emotion within me, because I'm like, wow, this little kid who I seen at my uncle's retirement party. I seen him again this time inside the gym, and he was just outside playing at the playground, but he's in the gym this time. So he's getting comfortable with the area now. And as much excitement as he had, that just made me know that I touched his soul and him seeing me. But what we do is touching souls out there. And that's what we try to do. So make sure you tap in, man. If it's you that's out there with a conversation. And as I said, I'm coming to you this year with my story as this weather change. I'm going to be documenting certain things, posting them as the story comes. Just stay tuned. I'm not going to tell you the time, but as the Lord do with my time, tell me when it's time to do things. It's going to be when he say so. And it's going to be coming live to you in different ways and different parts and sorts. So definitely stay tuned in for that this year as well.
All right, cool. All right, thanks for joining me this evening, Mossberg. I'll catch you in a little bit. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be back again tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday and Monday.
Yes, indeed. It was in the building, as T1 say, we was in the building and we out.
And now we out. All right, peace, nephew.